Hello.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stan Rice. I teach biology at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, and I'm a botanist, which means I study plants, and a plant ecologist, so I study the interactions that plants have with animals and with other plants and with the environment. And so I got my PhD in 1987 at the University of Illinois, and so I'm here to talk about a couple of the books that I've written.
Okay.
And my two areas I write about mostly are botany and evolution. And the first book is Green Planet.
Okay.
And the subtitle is How Plants Keep the Earth Alive. And this is sort of my tract that I want people to read. What is it that I really want them to know about plants? Do I really want them to know about the intricate structures of plants, or do I want them to know what a gametophyte is? Well, I guess that would be nice. What I really want people to know is how plants keep the earth alive. So when I think about what do plants do to keep the earth alive, several answers come to mind. For instance, they put all of the oxygen in the air. There wouldn't be any oxygen in the air if it weren't for plants. They take carbon dioxide out of the air, which helps to control the greenhouse effect. They create cool shade, so they're sort of like air conditioners in a way. They also control the water cycle. They produce all the food in the world, and they are also an ideal location of genetic diversity. It's not just plants, but lots of different kinds of plants and lots of breeds of plants within each species that we need to have. Also, they create natural habitats. A desert isn't just a place where cactuses live. It's partly the result of the cactuses themselves. So I've got a chapter. Each chapter answers one of those questions in here. The book is still in print. It's a little bit out of date. They let me stick in a footnote in 2012. Otherwise, it's a 2008 book.
So you updated it in 2012?
Just barely. They let me put in one footnote.
Okay.
But it's basically a 2008 book. And I hope someday to be able to issue a revised edition, but I don't yet. But it's still got a lot of interesting information.
What is the target audience for this book?
Anyone who's interested in science. You don't have to have had a botany course or a biology course in order to understand this.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of history in it and things like that. So
throughout the research for this book, The Green Planet, what was your favorite part of writing this book?
I think it was just knowing that I was able to answer the question of why should I care about plants. I could answer it, and I could answer it at that kind of length also. There wasn't any one particular part that was my favorite more than other parts. Well, maybe it was when I visited the Land Institute in Salina, Kansas, where they're basically reinventing agriculture, but they're doing it in a natural way, where you have agriculture that's based on the prairie rather than on the way we've been raising crops by plowing and leaving the soil bare and having crops with shallow roots, things like that we've been doing for thousands of years. They want to invent a new kind of agriculture. And going and talking to them about that, I think, was probably my favorite part of writing the book.
And what do you hope readers will ultimately get out of reading this book?
They'll understand that it's important to protect plants, and so that if they are, for instance, investing in a new home or a new office building, that maybe they'll leave the trees there rather than cutting them down, because the trees are a free source of air conditioning. Also, if they might join some conservation organization, such as the Nature Conservancy that will preserve natural areas, or American forests where they plant lots of native trees. And if these trees grow up and produce a lot of wood, then that wood stores carbon from the atmosphere, carbon that would otherwise be contributing to global warming. So mainly it's just that people will be more aware of what they see, but also there are some things they can do. You see why it's important to drive small cars and things like that, to not put extra carbon dioxide into the air, because there's going to be more carbon dioxide going into the air than trees could possibly remove, or prairie grasses could possibly remove.
And your next book is entitled Life of Earth. Could you talk about this book, please?
Yeah, Life of Earth, Portrait of a Beautiful, Middle-Aged, Stressed-Out World. This is my book about evolution for a general reader. Once again, there's no science background that's supposed for this. And I speak in plain language in here and try to use a little bit of humor and humorous examples, etc., like that, to get at some of the main points of evolution. Now, some books, what they do is they'll go through the history, first before life and then early life, middle life, the dinosaur period, then recent life, etc. Instead, I've gone around certain themes. The first has to do with the fact that the Earth is not just the place where life is, but life has actually altered the Earth. It is, in fact, a living planet. That's why I call it life of Earth, not life on Earth. Earth is not just a stage on which life sits, but it's the product of biological processes. I talk about the process of evolution and how it's inevitable, actually. Natural selection must occur on any planet or within any group of objects. So, for instance, ideas evolve, languages evolve, etc. And then some of the themes: innovation, symbiosis, sex, altruism, religion, science, and these are all topics that I talk about in the individual chapters. Then at the end, I sort of have an idea for what's left for the Earth, what's going to happen in the future. And of course, nobody knows, but I have a little bit of speculation there.
And this book is, as well, it's just for anyone interested in science.
Yeah, both of these are.
Okay, and I know you have written 2 other books, even though you don't have them with you. Could you discuss them briefly?
Yeah, well, one of them is the Encyclopedia of Evolution, which was published by Facts on File in 2006, paperback in 2007. You can still find it as a used book, but it's no longer in print. I'm currently revising it for the Facts on File database, and I think that to get it, eventually you will have to subscribe to the whole database, which is kind of expensive, but that's what the company has decided to do with their books now. I also published the Encyclopedia of Biodiversity, which is everything about all the different kinds of life on Earth and all of the ecology of life on Earth. So that book is still available. It was just published in 2012. Full color, hardback. Unfortunately, that means it's expensive, but I think it's a really good, beautiful book, and it just reflects my enjoyment of the beauty and diversity of life on Earth.
Okay, and could I ask you, how did you decide to become a biology major when you were in college?
Well, I've always been interested in, like when I was a little kid, I was watching birds and looking at wildflowers and wondering what they were. And it didn't occur to me to then also wonder why some kinds of plants grew in some places, others grew in others. But I grew up down in the San Joaquin Valley of California, which is a very altered habitat. It's very artificial. But I didn't know that orange groves and olive groves weren't natural or something like that. I didn't realize that the landscape was totally altered by human activity. But I would ride around and look at birds and everything. And then when my parents would take me up to Sequoia National Park in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and I saw the trees that are as big around at their base as a medium-sized room, maybe not quite as big as this room, but the trunk of the tree at its base would be as big around as a room. And it was just amazing that such things could exist. And